In a dusty Arizona auction yard, a quiet Apache girl was marked half price, yet no one wanted her. People laughed, turned away, and ignored her pain. Then, from the crowd, one lone cowboy stepped forward, and with a single choice, he changed a fate, a life, and a story forever. Like, share, and subscribe. And tell us where you're watching from now. Let's get started. The auction yard sat under the harsh Arizona sun. Dry wind blowing dust across wooden fences and worn boots. Cowboys gathered in loose groups, laughing loudly as horses were sold and tools changed hands. This was a normal day in a frontier town where business mattered more than mercy. At the far corner of the yard stood a young Apache girl, quiet and still, her dark hair braided neatly down her back. A rough wooden sign hung above her neck, reading half price. Most people barely noticed her, and those who did quickly turned away. She had learned not to look hopeful. Hope had been taken from her years ago when her family was scattered, and her voice no longer mattered. Her eyes followed the crowd silently as bidders raised hands for cattle and weapons, but never for her. Some men muttered that she looked weak. Others said she was too quiet, not worth the trouble. The auctioneer tried to sound confident, lowering the price again, his voice echoing awkwardly through the yard. Still, no one stepped forward. Silence grew heavier with each passing moment. Lena stood with her hands folded, remembering her mother's words about strength living inside stillness. She didn't cry or beg. She refused to give them that satisfaction. The dirt beneath her bare feet felt warm, grounding her in the present. She focused on breathing, pretending she was invisible. The trader who brought her shifted impatiently, annoyed that even at half price she wasn't selling. To him, she was a failed investment. To the crowd, she was an uncomfortable reminder of something they didn't want to face. The auctioneer cleared his throat and glanced around, embarrassed. He joked weakly, trying to lighten the mood, but the laughter faded quickly. One by one, people drifted away toward other sales. The sound of hooves and clinking coins filled the air again, leaving Lena forgotten. The trader cursed under his breath, preparing to drag her away. That was when the noise of the yard softened, as if the world itself paused. A single pair of boots stepped forward, slow and steady. The man who emerged didn't look important. His clothes were worn, his hat faded by years of sun and work, yet his presence felt different. He didn't stare at the sign or the price. He looked directly at Lena, not with judgment, but with understanding. The crowd noticed the change and fell quiet. The cowboy raised his hand calmly, his voice firm when he spoke. He wasn't buying a bargain. He was making a choice. And in that moment, everything Lena thought she knew about her fate began to shift. Ethan paid the trader without a single word of negotiation, his movements calm but final. The coins dropped into the man's palm with a dull metallic sound that echoed louder than any auction call. Lena watched carefully, unsure what this moment truly meant. She had been passed from place to place before, each time promised something better and given something worse. Ethan didn't grab her arm or pull her forward. Instead, he stepped aside and gestured toward his horse, silently giving her the choice to follow. The ride away from the auction yard felt unreal. Dust trails stretched behind them as the noise of the crowd faded into nothing. Ethan rode slowly, as if afraid to rush her. Lena noticed small things, how he kept glancing back to make sure she was all right, how he left space between them. No one had ever cared about her comfort before. The open land around them felt wide and free, and for the first time in years, her chest didn't feel tight with fear. When they reached the ranch, there were no guards, no locked doors, no harsh rules waiting for her. Ethan showed her a small cabin and told her she could rest or leave whenever she wished. His words confused her more than cruelty ever had. That night, Lena sat alone, listening to the sounds of crickets and distant cattle, wondering if kindness could be real. She slept lightly, expecting to be awakened by shouting. But morning came quietly. Days passed, and nothing terrible happened. Ethan treated her like a person, not property. He asked if she wanted to help around the ranch and respected her silence when she chose not to speak. She worked with the horses, finding comfort in their steady presence. Slowly, her fear loosened its grip. One evening, as the sun dipped low, she finally spoke, telling Ethan her name. He smiled, not surprised, as if he had been waiting patiently for that moment. As weeks turned into months, Lena shared pieces of her past, her Apache roots, the family she lost, the strength she carried quietly inside. Ethan listened without interrupting or judging. Word spread in nearby towns about the cowboy who had paid for a girl only to set her free. People who once laughed at the auction now spoke with respect. Lena realized she had never been half price, she had only been unseen. And now, at last, she was home.